You're standing at the gate. Your boarding pass is ready. The plane is right there. But something feels wrong. Maybe it's the pilot rushing past without making eye contact. Maybe it's that unusual announcement you just heard. Or maybe it's something about the aircraft itself that just doesn't look right. Here's what most travelers don't know. Experienced flyers, pilots, and aviation insiders recognize specific warning signs before boarding that make them turn around and rebook immediately. These aren't paranoid overreactions. These are legitimate red flags that could indicate serious safety issues, maintenance problems, or operational dangers. Today, we're exposing the 10 pre-boarding warnings that could literally save your life. From crew behavior that screams danger to aircraft conditions you can spot from the gate, these are the signals airlines hope you never learn to recognize. Because once you know what to look for, you'll never blindly trust that everything is fine just because they're calling your boarding group. Let's dive into the warning signs that separate smart travelers from oblivious passengers. The pilot appears rushed, stressed, or distracted. Picture this. You're waiting at the gate and the captain walks by. But instead of the calm, confident demeanor you'd expect, the pilot looks rushed, stressed, or intensely focused on their phone while speed walking toward the aircraft. Here's the truth. Pilots are trained to project calm confidence, especially in passenger areas. When that facade cracks, something serious is happening behind the scenes. It could be a maintenance issue they're rushing to assess. It could be weather concerns they're monitoring frantically. Or it could be crew scheduling problems that mean they're flying fatigued. Experienced travelers watch pilot body language religiously. If the captain looks anything other than calm and collected, that's your first red flag. A professional pilot should never appear flustered or distracted in front of passengers. When they do, it means the operational situation is challenging enough that they can't hide it. If you see this, consider waiting for the next flight. Your safety isn't worth the risk. Repeated minor delay announcements with no clear timeline. Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a minor delay. Then 20 minutes later, just a few more minutes, folks. Then again, we appreciate your patience as we work through a small issue. Sound familiar? Here's what gate agents won't tell you. Minor delay is airline code for we don't want to admit what's really wrong. When airlines use vague language repeatedly without providing specific timelines or clear explanations, it's because the real issue is serious enough that they don't want passengers rebooking. Real minor delays have specific timelines. We're waiting for 15 passengers from a connecting flight, or catering truck is running 10 minutes behind, are legitimate, fixable delays with clear endpoints. But repeated vague announcements about minor technical issues or small maintenance items mean the problem is bigger than they're admitting. Mechanics are troubleshooting. Parts might need replacing. The crew might be timing out on their legal flying hours. When delays become vague and repetitive, it's time to ask pointed questions or find another flight. Ground crew or mechanics are still working on the aircraft. You're standing at the gate and, through the window, you can see mechanics with tools, panels open, or ground crew examining the aircraft closely. Maybe there's a maintenance truck still parked next to the plane. Maybe someone's under the wing with a flashlight. This is a massive red flag that most passengers completely miss. If active maintenance is happening at the gate during boarding time, it means something broke recently enough that it couldn't be fixed overnight during scheduled maintenance. Airlines operate on incredibly tight schedules. Every minute an aircraft sits at the gate costs money. They don't do last-minute maintenance unless absolutely necessary. And when they do, it's often a rush job to meet departure time rather than a thorough fix. Watch the windows before boarding. If you see open panels, mechanics with tools, or extended ground crew activity, that aircraft should not be boarding passengers yet. Wait until they're completely finished and cleared. The aircraft looks visibly dirty or poorly maintained. Airlines with strong safety cultures maintain their aircraft meticulously inside and out. When you see a plane that looks dirty, streaked, or poorly maintained from the outside, it's often a reflection of the maintenance culture behind the scenes. Here's the connection most travelers miss. Airlines that cut corners on visible cleaning often cut corners on invisible maintenance. If they're not investing in keeping the aircraft presentable, they're probably not investing in thorough mechanical inspections either. Look for heavy dirt buildup, streaking down the fuselage, missing or damaged exterior panels, worn paint, or engines that look neglected. These aren't just cosmetic issues. They indicate a maintenance philosophy that prioritizes cost-cutting over care. Budget airlines sometimes have older, more worn-looking fleets, which isn't inherently dangerous. But there's a difference between older and neglected. Trust your instincts. If an aircraft looks like it hasn't been properly cared for, that's exactly what's happening. Flight attendants seem concerned or are having unusual conversations. Flight attendants are the ultimate professionals at masking concerns. They're trained to project calm confidence even in challenging situations. So when you see cabin crew members having intense, quiet conversations, looking worried, or repeatedly checking equipment before boarding begins, pay attention. Watch for crew members clustered together speaking in low tones, flight attendants doing unusual pre-boarding checks of emergency equipment, or crew exchanges that seem tense or concerned rather than casual. Cabin crew knows more about operational issues than passengers realize. They're briefed on mechanical concerns, weather problems, and crew scheduling issues before you are. When they look worried, there's a reason. Don't confuse normal pre-flight briefings with concerning behavior. Normal briefings are quick, professional, and calm. Concerning behavior includes repeated equipment checks, tense body language, or crew members who seem to be disagreeing about something. If the people whose job is to keep you safe look unsafe, listen to that signal. Weather is clearly deteriorating, but boarding continues. You can see the weather through the airport windows. Dark clouds rolling in, lightning in the distance, wind that's making the jet bridge sway. And yet the gate agent is calling for boarding to begin. Here's the harsh reality. Airlines have enormous pressure to depart on time. Weather delays cost money, create ripple effects through the schedule, and anger passengers. So there's institutional pressure to board and hope conditions improve, even when weather is clearly deteriorating. Smart travelers watch the weather independently. Download a radar app. Check wind speeds. Look at the actual conditions outside, not just what the gate agent announces. If you see approaching thunderstorms, crosswinds strong enough to move equipment around, or visibility dropping rapidly, and the airline is still boarding normally, they're hoping to beat the weather. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it means sitting on the tarmac for hours or attempting a dangerous takeoff. When nature is sending clear danger signals, don't ignore them because the airline is. The gate agent can't answer basic questions about the delay. Excuse me, what's causing the delay? Just a minor issue. We'll update you soon. What kind of issue? I don't have that information yet. When gate agents genuinely don't know details about a delay, it's usually because the operations team is deliberately keeping them in the dark to prevent passengers from rebooking. Airlines know that informed passengers make different decisions than uninformed ones. Legitimate operational delays have clear communication chains. Gate agents are kept informed so they can manage passenger expectations. When agents themselves seem confused, evasive, or unable to provide basic details, it means the real situation is being concealed at a higher level. Ask direct questions. Is this a mechanical issue? Are we waiting for a crew replacement? Is this weather-related? If you get vague non-answers to specific questions, that's information in itself. The lack of transparency is the red flag. Multiple passengers are choosing to deplane or not board. You're watching the boarding process and you notice something unusual. Passengers who are already on the aircraft are getting off. Or people in line ahead of you are suddenly stepping aside and talking to the gate agent about rebooking. This is one of the strongest warning signs you can observe. Other passengers are voting with their feet, and you should pay attention to why. Maybe they overheard crew conversations. Maybe they noticed something about the aircraft condition. Maybe they're experienced flyers who recognized a red flag you missed. Whatever the reason, when multiple passengers independently decide not to fly, that's collective wisdom you shouldn't ignore. Don't be embarrassed to ask, "Excuse me, why are you getting off?" Most people will tell you if there's a legitimate concern. And if several passengers are citing the same issue, whether it's aggressive turbulence forecasts, mechanical concerns, or crew problems, take that information seriously. When the crowd starts leaving, consider joining them. Your gut instinct is screaming that something is wrong. This might sound unscientific, but your subconscious brain processes hundreds of microsignals that your conscious mind can't articulate. When experienced travelers talk about their gut feeling, they're actually describing their brain's pattern recognition system detecting anomalies. Maybe it's a combination of small things: the pilot's body language, the gate agent's tone, the way the crew is behaving, the aircraft's condition, the weather outside. Individually, none might be conclusive. Together, they create an instinctive warning signal. Aviation safety culture increasingly recognizes the importance of intuition. Pilots are trained to listen to their gut when something doesn't feel right, even if they can't immediately identify why. As a passenger, you have that same right and responsibility. If everything feels wrong, even if you can't pinpoint exactly why, you're allowed to say, "I'm not boarding this flight." Airlines might push back, but your safety isn't negotiable. The aircraft itself looks different than expected. You booked a specific aircraft type, maybe because you researched the seat configuration or knew the expected amenities. But when you get to the gate, it's a different plane entirely. Maybe older, maybe smaller, maybe a model you specifically avoided. Aircraft substitutions happen, and often they're completely legitimate operational decisions. But sometimes they're red flags. Airlines might substitute an older aircraft when their newer, better-maintained fleet is grounded for issues. They might swap in a smaller plane when they know the original aircraft has mechanical problems they can't fix quickly. Check your booking confirmation against the actual aircraft at the gate. If there's been a substitution, ask why. Gate agents sometimes have this information. If the explanation is vague, or the substituted aircraft looks significantly older or more worn, consider your options. You have a right to know what you're flying on. And if the answer to why the change doesn't satisfy you, you have a right to choose a different flight. These aren't paranoid overreactions. These are the same observations that experienced flyers, aviation professionals, and airline insiders use to make informed decisions about their safety. Remember, airlines operate under enormous financial and operational pressure. That pressure sometimes creates incentives to downplay problems, rush solutions, or minimize transparency. Your job as a passenger is to stay alert, ask questions, and trust your observations. Next time you're at a gate, don't just scroll through your phone. Watch the crew. Observe the aircraft. Listen to announcements critically. Pay attention to what other passengers are doing. These simple acts of awareness could genuinely save your life. What warning signs have you noticed before boarding? Drop your experiences in the comments below. And if this video opened your eyes to pre-boarding red flags, hit subscribe because next week, we're exposing what flight attendants never do on planes and why you shouldn't either. Safe travels and stay vigilant.